Ghost of Tsushima released new details on the game recently, and while I'm a tad late to the party, I did want to give my thoughts on what this means for the game as a whole and whether or not these things are going to be good for the game and for the player. Before we start, I just want to say that if you enjoyed the video, then make sure you leave it a juicy and delicious like, and if you enjoy this content and want more just like it, then make sure that you subscribe. Also, I want to announce our Champions of Charles Darwin, and that would be the wonderful people out protesting the existence of a global pandemic. Keep up the great work, guys. Natural selection smiles upon you. Anyway, let's jump into these gameplay features, and the first one, I think the one that most people talked about, is the no waypoints feature. Now, as much as I think that this adds to the immersion of the game, and as much as I do enjoy games that play like this, because it does allow for that forced exploration, it allows you to go and see the world, I do think for your more casual player this could be an issue, and I think it could cause a lot of players to not experience a great story potentially, because they may put down the game early because they feel like they don't know where to go. Now for players like me, and possibly you if you're watching this video, you might be like, awesome, no waypoints, I'm totally down with that, it's super immersive, I love exploring the world, I love being able to memorize places, and that's totally fine. I think it's a fun feature to have, but in my personal opinion, I think it should just be optional. Just like I said, for those more casual players, because some people are going to feel all confused because they don't know where to go and they're just going to put the game down. Now, I could be wrong, and some of, say, the camps where the enemy bases are will be pretty obvious and distinct as to what each one is, and it could be pretty easy to memorize where to go based off of the context clues you're given, or based off of just anything you're given, be it dialogue or whatever letters you find. So you can figure out what each base is, and it would also add to the uniqueness of the game, because each camp or each base or each stronghold or whatever it may be pretty unique, and I think that would be a really awesome feature. But again, we haven't really seen enough of the game to know that, and I'll get more into that a little bit later in the video, but I do think we do need to see a little bit more of the game to be able to understand how this may work, so that a lot more people can come into this game and actually enjoy it, even though there is a much more limited HUD, much more immersive experience going on here. Now, as far as taking out camps, since we are talking about that, apparently as you take them out, this will push you up a wanted list, and this will also cause the camp guards to remember you and recognize you. I think this is a really awesome feature just to have in the game, because again, it's adding more towards that immersion and that realism within the game. You already have a really awesome, beautiful open world, and you're adding this really cool immersion that the camp guards will remember who you are and they'll recognize you. Now, I'm just kind of assuming here, but this may lead to the idea that maybe the camp will prepare for you the next time you come to take out that camp. So say, for example, they remember how you attacked last time you came in a stealthy way. Maybe you came through some bushes to take out a bunch of guards, so they set traps in the bushes so that you can't go through those nearly as easily, and you'll alert them if you do go through them the same way you did last time. I think that could be a really cool feature if that's what they're trying to do with this. Another one is maybe you came in with your arrows and you took a lot of headshots and took a lot of guys out that way. Well, maybe the guards will remember that. They're like, hey, my buddy last week got popped in the head by an arrow because the ghost rolled through here, and they wear more reinforced headgear. I think that could be some really cool features in this game, and again, it's just adding to that immersion, it's adding to that more hardcore experience. You're less reliant on the HUD, and you're more reliant on seeing and visualizing and analyzing things and places and situations, and I think that's a really cool way to build the game. But again, I do think that to a certain extent you need to make these mechanics much more easily recognizable and easier to pick up for those more casual players, because like I said, a lot of people, if they feel like everything is confusing and convoluted and they don't know what to do, they may put down the game really soon and miss out on a really awesome experience. I'm not saying they need to hold your hand through the whole experience, and I hate it when games do that, but just make it in the beginning so that they understand what to do and they're not just totally lost off the bat. I think that can keep players engaged, and then once they get their foot in the door, they'll be on their way to being able to play the game like the rest of us and really enjoy that awesome immersive experience. Now, as for the experience as a whole, and Sucker Punch, of course, is famous for having choices in their games. Just look at the Infamous games. This game apparently will have choices as well, but these are going to be a tad different. I think a lot of you guys remember playing games like The Witcher 3, where most of the choices in the game for your allies are basically if you're going to kill them or not, or if they'll be there or not be there. This game, it seems like it's going to base something off of a morality system. So instead of choosing whether or not to fight somebody or to let them go, you're going to be dealing with them in a way to where they will choose to be able to help you or to refuse to help you. And hopefully it's a little bit more clear-cut than, okay, this is a good guy, so if you make good choices, they'll, stick with you. Or if you make bad choices and they're a bad guy, then they'll stick with you. Hopefully there's a little bit more to it. Maybe, say, if you're a more honorable person, you fight with those honorable samurai virtues, then maybe people who align more with the samurai way of life and those allies will align with you, whereas people who don't may not. But if you're someone who fights in a more dishonorable and gritty way, you may be able to gather the more criminals and lowlifes of Tsushima and bring those guys along with you in a more dirty kind of gritty resistance. But the samurai may not come and help you because they don't believe in your cause. They feel it's dishonorable and they wouldn't dishonor themselves by joining that. And maybe there's a way you can kind of go in between and maybe get a selection of both, or maybe go hardcore one way or hardcore the other. I think this is a really cool element, but again, I don't know for sure how exactly it's going to work. Like I said, very little has been shown of this game. And this is where I want to talk about why I think they need to do maybe a live stream or something where they explain some of these features and go a little bit more in depth. This game and this series doesn't have the reputation of a game like The Last of Us or of Uncharted or of God of War or any series like that. It just doesn't have that behind it to where you can kind of expect what may be coming. This game is a new IP from Sucker Punch, who is best known for the Infamous games, which I didn't personally play them, but I heard that there were a couple that were good and there were a couple that were bad. But this is the first game in a series from a developer that doesn't have a totally clean reputation. It's not a bad reputation, and a lot of people are hyped for this game. But like I said, I think by showing off a few more features, by showing off a little bit more of the game, just so we know what to expect, you get more people hyped for the game and understand how it works and what they're getting into. Because while I'm really excited for the game, a lot of this stuff I'm purely speculating on just by the little tidbits I'm getting from little articles and the few trailers we've gotten. I can't totally confirm everything that I'm saying, and a lot of this, as you've heard through the video, it's pure speculation. I don't know these things for sure. They sound really cool, and I hope that that's the way the game is, and it would be really awesome if it worked that way, but I could be completely wrong. It could be a bare bones experience where it's got a beautiful world and not much else to it, with some pretty bland decisions to make, some pretty bland side characters. I don't know. I don't think that'll be the case, but I want to see more of the game. I want to see more of what it offers and how these different mechanics that they're talking about will work, because as of right now, it's a very basic and vague look at how the game is going to work. So anyway, the last thing I want to talk about is the possible delay. Apparently on PlayStation Canada's website or something like that, it listed the game as coming out on August 1st instead of June 26th, which would be about a little over a month's delay. Honestly, if I don't hear it from Sony or I don't hear it from Sucker Punch, I'm not going to believe it, because obviously it's not coming from them. It's probably just like a little glitch on the website. Is it possible the game gets delayed? Yes, you can say it's possible, but I'm not going to go off of the system changing the date for a couple hours and then reverting back to its regular release date. I'm going to hold my breath for Sony or Sucker Punch to say something, because that's not an announcement. That's just a glitch in the system. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Remember that if you enjoyed, to leave it a like, and if you want more videos like this one, then subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.